Our next keynote speaker is someone who has really become quite a legend here in the Valley. He was a very early investor in internet companies and did extremely well. And now he's been an early investor in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and he's very bullish. I was just chatting to him backstage. He has a nice little Bitcoin lapel pin going. But anyway, so here we're going to talk now about the future of blockchain, the future of cryptocurrency, and here to interview, we have Tim Draper, and here to interview him is Deirdre Bosa from CNBC. Okay.
All right, thank you. All right.
Hi, everyone. I was going to start by asking you if you're still as enthusiastic as ever about Bitcoin, and then I noticed your pin. I don't know if you guys can see it out there, but it is the first Bitcoin pin I've ever seen, and you said that you considered wearing your Bitcoin tie, which is just one of two that you own.
I did, but it's going to get dirty because I wear it so often. Yeah. Oh, am I enthusiastic about it? Yes. This is transformative.
To know, too, I'm sure everyone in this audience knows this, but you were a Bitcoin enthusiast before it was cool, before it slumped, before all of this happened.
I was. I did it because I met this guy from Korea, and he said everybody in Korea, 40% of Korea is playing this game, and it was a virtual game. And he said, and I've hired somebody to be my avatar for the day when I go to work. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. So people are living a life that's in the virtual realm while they live also in the physical realm. And I started to think virtual. Oh, he also said he was going to give his son a sword for his birthday. And I thought that was a non sequitur. And he said, no, I'm paying $40 for pixels on a screen, which basically meant that he paid $40 for his son to be further along in the game.
A digital sword.
A digital sword. So then I started thinking digital money, digital sword, and that was years and years before Bitcoin. And then when Bitcoin finally came, I thought, whoa, this is awesome. It's decentralized. You can shoot it across borders. It's going to be so much fun. And so I gave Coinbase some money to go mine some Bitcoin for me and to buy some Bitcoin for me. And so then he went and he used the money for an ASIC to be a faster miner. And and it was Butterfly Labs. Anybody here from Butterfly Labs? Okay, well, anyway, they front ran him. They took the ASIC and they used it before they shipped it out to him. They used it to mine Bitcoin. Bitcoin by that time went from $4 to $36 a Bitcoin. Anyway, so that happened, and then I got some Bitcoin from it though, and it was stored in the biggest Bitcoin exchange in the world, Mt. Gox.
Yes, and
so then I lost all of that
Gox,
Bitcoin, right? I lost it all in Mt. Gox, and I thought,
but it didn't deter
that's
you.
the end. No, I thought, that's the end of Bitcoin. Oh, too bad. This was really going to be cool.
Were you surprised?
I was, yeah, surprised that my money was just stolen, yeah. But it was more than that. When Mt. Gox happened and you guys announced, hey, Mt. Gox stole all this money, I thought that's the end of Bitcoin, it's all over. But no, it dropped 15%. And I thought, whoa, people really need this.
So that actually ended
up
increasing.
I got confident and I said, what are they using it for? And then I realized it's banking the unbanked. You know, by the way, people talk about the unbanked and they don't quite understand something, which is you take $10 and you want to go set up a bank account with Citibank or Wells Fargo, they'll push you away because it costs them $200 just to comply with all the stupid banking regulations we have in our country. And so they'll push you away. So we have all these unbanked. Well, all of a sudden there was a currency that they could use and be a part of the world economy. And they could send money overseas very quickly. And if they decided they want to leave the country and go somewhere else, they're not stuck
with
some weird currency that doesn't
Well,
translate.
that's one of the uses of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. Exactly, but that's sort of that's the generous side of things. There's another side of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin that's been used for, and that's illicit activity. So how do you reconcile the two?
Well, I don't use the illicit activity. No, I think it's interesting that that sort of thing happens almost with every new technology. Every time there's this new breakthrough technology, it seems that the illicit things happen first. And then the legitimate things start happening later. And that happened, there was kiddie porn for when people started to use Skype, and before that it was like sex attacks or something for
And
Hotmail.
Tim, you've been there for these, for these cycles.
I've been there for Hotmail and Skype. Yeah, I was an investor in both of them. But, and it was those illicit things that happened first, and then they get sort of washed out because people catch them. And of course, the Silk Road guy got caught. And what's interesting is, if he had just been using fiat cash, no one would have ever caught him. But the fact that he was using Bitcoin made it, everything's on the blockchain. It's actually easier to catch a criminal who's using Bitcoin now than it is to catch a criminal who's using cash.
Because there's a ledger, a record.
Because there's this perfect ledger, and sometimes they don't catch them on the way doing the thing, but they always catch them when they're trying to spend the money. So as soon as that block starts to move, they've got them. And so, yeah, there are always going to be illicit things that happen early in a technology, but then all of the authorities always seem to figure that out, and then. And
I think we should note how how sort of amazing it is that you're this optimistic and saying this about Bitcoin when you've seen the cycles, Web 1.0, 2.0, and you've actually said that you're more excited about Bitcoin than you ever have been.
Yes, because what's happened is, and this happened in the .com world, where everybody was very excited about .coms, and then it was like everything from shoes.com, pets.com, everything.com. And that's what was happening with the ICO market recently, and they were all creating their own little .coms. And then the market turned, and then it became a really interesting market. Now, it's interesting, people say, oh, I bought at the top of the .com market and I lost all this money. Well, if they held on, it's probably the best investment anybody ever made, because they would be in Google and
Unless the
Amazon.
Company went completely under.
No, assuming you invested in all the .coms at the very top of the market, you would have won because you would have been in those. Well, the same kind of thing is happening with Bitcoin now. It's a flight to quality, and Bitcoin has the biggest network. Oh, by the way, these ICOs, they should be valued based on the size of the network. You should think in terms of the network squared, if you believe in the Metcalfe's law. But Bitcoin's network is twice as big as any other coin's network. And that's why the value of Bitcoin is so high. And so if the network is an effective network, and if you are backing an ICO, think in terms of, is this a movement where people are going to build a network around it? Is it a sociological transformation? Or is it something that just...
Give us some of those names then. I'm sure, who's going to be the Googles and the Facebooks of the Bitcoin era?
Well, I actually, it's kind of fun to think about. I actually think Bitcoin is the Microsoft, because when I saw them bring Lightning Network in and speed up to accommodate people who were saying the blockchain's too slow, they brought in the Lightning Network because other people had that technology. I think that's the same kind of thing that will happen. Microsoft did the same thing with, hey, there's a word processor, hey, there's a spreadsheet, and then they brought it into Microsoft, and so my guess is that Bitcoin's the Microsoft. These other ones, it could be anything, but we're a believer.
The Apple who's going to come in from behind.
We're believers in Tezos. Of course, I'm investors in all these things, so take it with a grain of salt. Tezos, Bancor, Credo, Data Wallet, Space Cash. Anyway, there are a bunch of them that all have a lot of potential. I'll start with Tezos. I'll say something about Tezos. Tezos is use proof of stake rather than proof of work, and it actually can speed up a network. And they're targeting smart contracts, and so they are actually going to be able to do a lot of things that maybe Ethereum can't do yet.
Okay. Now, I want to go back to the point, though. If Bitcoin is the Microsoft right now, it's still very unproven, though, right? I mean, it's been a rough quarter. I know you've seen worse, certainly. You mentioned Mt. Gox, but down 50% since the beginning of the year. Regulatory issues everywhere, from India to China to South Korea.
Let me get into the regulatory thing.
Please.
Here's something that's interesting. Governments are in competition for us. They're in competition for the money, for the entrepreneurs, for the citizens of the world. And now governments are starting to recognize that this is their moment of truth. And here's what's happening. China has decided that, oh, Bitcoin's illegal and ICOs are illegal, and we're going to control all the currency going out of this country, and we're going to keep a hard surface on this whole thing. We're going to regulate the heck out of you, all that stuff. And so what does a good entrepreneur do? They leave. And then you look at Japan, and Japan says, oh, ICOs are legal here. Not only are they legal, they're national currency. All those entrepreneurs are going, oh, Japan, let's go there. So suddenly there's this competitive system going on. And when you hear about more regulations coming from the US, I'm thinking, whoa, they better be careful. Because the US right now has all of this really great stuff coming to the Silicon Valley from all over the world. And if they regulate the thing that has the most potential in the entire history of the world, literally the history
and that's
of
Bitcoin,
the world.
You're saying.
Bitcoin, the blockchain, biggest potential in the history of the world. And if they overregulate, they're going to lose it completely. They're
going to lose what completely? They're going to lose
freedom equals prosperity and wealth and creativity, and you saw freedom in China for the last 40 years. And now they got a president there who's clamping down on everything. And when when governments are controlling, they give you a regulation. Okay, you can't use your right arm. Okay, you can't use your left arm. Can't use either of your legs. So you start to starve, and that creates poverty and even slavery. And I would watch it very carefully. And it was really interesting because South Korea said Bitcoin's illegal. They were following China's lead. And then they got 250,000 letters saying, wait a second, 40% of your population has a wallet, has a Bitcoin wallet. What are you doing? And they went, oh, never mind. And so I think they're all competing for us. Now, here's another system there where Switzerland had the ICO market by the tail. They had the whole thing. And then they started to add layers and layers of regulation, and people just said, oh, well, we'll go to Singapore and we'll do our ICO there. And Singapore added a few layers of regulation, and then they went to Cayman and Gibraltar. These little countries, this is a big opportunity for them because governance, there are two kinds of governance. There's the kind that's terrestrial based, and it has those borders. And then there's this virtual piece. And now with the blockchain and Bitcoin, you can actually have a very efficient government pretty much run by computers.
Isn't there a danger of that as well, though? I mean, the Federal Reserve in the United States is used to heat off recessions, and we use the US dollar.
The Federal Reserve, they always get it wrong. They always come in and overregulate at the bottom, and then they push you down further, and then they come racing back, and then they push you up higher. No, are you kidding me? This is a much more regulated, a much better system.
I want to ask you about something you said recently, just about a month ago. You said that in 5 years, we're going to be using Bitcoin to pay for our Starbucks.
No, better than that.
For everything.
If you're going to try to go buy coffee at Starbucks, if Starbucks is still a coffee place, if you're going to try buying coffee at Starbucks 5 years from now, you're going to walk in and you try to pay with fiat currency, they will laugh at you.
But we'll see, we're going to hold that to you. But
I hope so.
Hasn't it been going in?
And I'm going to hold it to you too.
Yes. Please do. Please do. We'll make a bet now. We'll see if Starbucks is still around. But haven't we sort of seen the reverse? I mean, a few years ago, you saw payment processors like Square and PayPal and Stripe taking Bitcoin. They don't do that anymore. And these are companies that I cover. And I ask them, I say, when is that going to happen? They say, people don't want it.
No, they're threatened. Some are threatened by it. If you're a bank, like JP Morgan, he's sitting there going, oh, hey, no, Bitcoin, anybody who works for JP Morgan who has a Bitcoin wallet is fired. That's the first thing he said. Then he said, anybody using a credit card from JP Morgan to buy Bitcoin, you can't do that. And so finally.
But that's JP Morgan.
Okay,
that's
but
not Square and PayPal.
no, it's all of them.
And some of these.
Think of this: you control everybody's fiat currency. You don't want this new currency. You don't have any control over it, and you don't get it. Think of all those big, huge buildings that say Citibank, JP Morgan, whatever. You're paying for those. It's like when you go to Las Vegas and you're sitting there and my son goes, hey, I'm going to make all this money gambling in Las Vegas. And I said, see all those buildings? Those buildings were built on the backs of people like you who said you were going to make lots of money.
But Tim, I'm not talking about the banks. I'm talking about the PayPals and the
Squares.
You think they're the same?
They're
trying to serve the underprivileged, and they see opportunity in this disruption. No?
They don't, because they're very established. PayPal, how many years old is it? It's like 100 years old. 20. It's 20 years old. And they kind of have their thing, and they don't want to mess with it.
Okay.
And so they're.
Dorsey, though, is a big fan.
So now you've got, he's a bright guy. Anyway, so I think you're going to see Coinbase become maybe the first, Coinbase, maybe Robinhood, be the banks of the future, because these other banks, and see, they don't
so PayPal's
have to.
too passe already.
They don't have to manipulate your money. They just do a quick, PayPal. That is old technology.
Tim, I have to say, this is going too fast. I mean, we've only got 4 minutes left. I have to get to a topic that I wanted to ask you about. I know that you have some passion around. And I was in Menlo Park this morning outside of Facebook headquarters, and I think everyone's keeping one eye on their Twitter feed or the TV, watching Zuckerberg take the hot seat in Washington. I got to get your thoughts, as someone who's been in this industry forever. One VC told me that it was a seminal moment for the industry. What are your thoughts?
No, I think he's wrong. He's probably brilliant, but he's wrong. This is very typical. This is the equivalent of when Microsoft was under where rumor has it that Hillary told Bill Clinton that guy's more powerful than you are, talking about Bill Gates, and suddenly the Justice Department was on his case. I think we have a similar situation where, hey, you got Zuckerberg. This guy's a hero, let's face it. It's awesome what he's done. It's amazing what he's done. And all of a sudden, we're worried about privacy. My God, we've put all of our pictures up there.
Hold on,
what are
hold
we
on.
thinking?
I want a show of hands.
And so I'm thinking entrepreneurs, if they do something extraordinary and they break through and they challenge an industry and they become hugely successful, there is schadenfreude in Washington.
Show of hands, who thinks that Mark Zuckerberg is a hero in this room? I'm not seeing that many. Okay, who thinks that Facebook has violated our privacy?
These are finance people.
Who thinks that... Who thinks that Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg should have to answer for some of the privacy, if you want to call them oversights, or some of the standards that they've had over the last few years?
It's about the same number.
Okay, I'll give you that.
So
he didn't do anything wrong.
I see the things go on where the press builds somebody up. Oh, he's great, he's great, he's great. And then it's like, aha, we got him. Here we go. And both sell the magazine, but actually the one that sells it the best is the one that says, we got him, he messed up. He built this amazing thing. We use Instagram all the time. We love it. It's fantastic. Love Facebook, all that communication. We do it. But then all of a sudden, oh, hey, I think he messed up. So, we got him. It's exciting.
So they weren't playing fast and loose with our privacy and our data.
Oh, fast and loose? I mean, our privacy is gone when you're sitting there putting all your pictures up on,
But as a,
on
you know,
Facebook. You don't have.
No, that's not.
What are you expecting? I mean, okay, I got this whole thing.
No, but I did not give permission to Cambridge Analytica to have my data. But you're saying just by being on the platform, you've given up. You should give up all of your.
It's the same thing. They all used to.
Data.
They all used to say, "Oh God, I have to put my credit card up on Amazon. This is going to be horrible. People are going to steal. There are going to be all these horrible things that are going to happen." Well, everybody who doesn't have their credit card up on Amazon, and if you have your credit card up on Amazon, you should be a little bit circumspect about all this attack going on Facebook. They've got your credit card.
Well, this is the
Facebook's just got pictures of you, and maybe they've analyzed that you like cats. Who cares?
Amazon's got your purchase. Okay, so this is the point. And you talk about Zuckerberg, and you talk about, you make the relationship.
I talk about Zuckerberg thinking, awesome man.
I believe you said
done
he's
extraordinary things. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Jeff Bezos, he is in a little bit of
I
hot
wrote
water
this.
too.
I wrote this book. By the way, read my book. It's called How to Be the Startup Hero. These guys are awesome. They should have written the book. But anyway, I've been on the periphery watching great heroes, and.
But is Bezos next? Because there's a very powerful
yeah, because
man,
he's powerful.
But the president, has been tweeting nonstop. And is he next? Can he actually do anything to Jeff Bezos? And what's coming for the rest of tech if we've decided?
If we keep attacking our entrepreneurial heroes, if we keep attacking them and taking them down, they're going to move. They're going to go to another country. I mean, I got a message for all those guys in Washington. We want these people. Bezos can live anywhere in the world, and he will be welcomed hugely anywhere in the world. And think of what he's done. Oh my gosh. It's amazing. We get our food like that. We get anything. We just sort of think something, and it arrives in a very beautiful package. And it's all because of Bezos and Amazon.
Okay, but is he next? Are there other tech heroes?
You're already ready to go after another one.
I gotta ask these
questions. Let's go after him. He's powerful. Let's get him.
Hey, not me. Washington.
Okay,
not
but
me,
you get to sell more advertising because of it. Let's face it. And they like reading the blood more than they like reading.
No, this is a fair question because if you say that we built Zuckerberg up and built him down, there's a few other people like that. So are they in danger now? And
well, I sure hope
will
not.
Washington succeed?
Well, wait,
if they want to put regulations in,
will Washington succeed? If they are successful in your mission that you're talking about, they will create huge failure in our country. And so I think you're saying, will Washington succeed in taking these people down? And I'm thinking, what? That's not success.
I'm not saying taking
that
them
creates poverty in a country.
I'm asking regulation.
You want the rich guys in your country. Let me get this clear, make this very clear. We want rich guys here paying taxes, building nonprofits, making their businesses successful. We want them.
So should big tech companies, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, should they be unregulated or do we need some regulation?
Well, we have plenty of we have too much regulation.
Not for the tech companies.
Yes, we have too much regulation. It is everywhere. I'm trying to throw a party, and I said, I'm blocking off the block. Okay, the town said, fantastic, this is great. And they were saying, okay, and then they went, oh, but the county has a rule about, you got to be 14 feet out so that a fire truck can come through. Okay, that's great. And then the state has a rule, no, they have another rule, and it's got to be 20 feet from the side. And then it's like, oh, well, then we really can't do what we had intended to do. And then, oh, your food, oh, no, you can't have the food out in the street unless you have running water coming out of some faucet out of the sky. I don't know. There are so many stupid regulations. All we're trying to do is throw a party. And these guys are putting a barrier up everywhere they can. And throughout history, More regulation leads to more corruption. And that's what we're getting. And you know, when I grew up, and that was a long time ago, I'd go into the government office and get this, they said, what can we do to make you more successful? How can we improve your life, your home life, your work life? How do we make your house more fun? How do we do? Those were the questions they asked. Have you had anything except, have you filled out Form 4B2 have you seen anything like that in the last 20 years? No, we have overregulation and it leads to corruption.
But you're talking about different sectors here.
No, I'm talking about freedom leading to prosperity. And if you get more regulation, you get poverty. And it happens in every situation throughout all of history. And it takes 40 years for anybody to notice, but all of a sudden, like, China's rich. You know, wow, hey, they were free for 40 years. Yeah, they're rich. We were free for 200 years. We got rich. Freedom really matters. Regulations and attacks on the heroes of the country are big problems. That's where you see Schadenfreude, you see these, the politicians want to take down the businesses. That's a bad sign. That makes you want to leave the country.
With all due respect, some of these heroes are actually
it's all with all
attacking
due
each
respect.
other. But some of these heroes are attacking each other. You have Tim Cook saying that Apple would never be in this position. You have Elon Musk taking part in the Delete Facebook campaign. So
yeah, oh, I know. Of course, because then they can capitalize on the PR they're going to get. And you guys just are fed. You just here it is. Okay, here's the layup.
Tim,
now, if you go ahead and you attack it right now, if you attack Zuckerberg, we're going to print it. This will be awesome. And then you go, oh, good. Well, hey, I could sell a few more cars. Or hey, maybe we'll
Our next talk will be media, and you can, yeah, we'll get your strong views on that. I think we've gone about 5-10 minutes over. Someone backstage is going to kill us.
I don't see a hook.
I'm sorry, but you guys were entertained, right? I mean, how could you not be? I couldn't cut them off. I couldn't.
Thank you. Lend it.